Hello and welcome, Brynn. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, Unc. I'm so happy to be with you.
So, we have a really juicy topic, one that I'm really excited about, and I hope other people listening will be too. But before we get there, Brynn, who's Brynn? Where are you based? What's the heart? What's the core of your business?
I am in the western part of the US in Reno, Nevada, near Lake Tahoe, where it's currently snowing like all get out. And for years now, I have worked with people that I call unconventional entrepreneurs, and I know that they really line up with your mavericks. These are people that don't fit in a box, don't have any interest in fitting in a box. They do something that's really unique or with an edge that's hard to describe. So people come to me because they can't figure out how to talk about what they do without either just kind of going numb in their own head or like vomiting all over other people, like, well, this and this, hoping that something will make it through. So people come to me because they really don't know what to say about what they do. So they leave all the good stuff out.
Hmm. And I mean, I'm just giggling because, you created a video and I'm gonna pop it in the comments here where I can't even watch it without tearing up because I've never in my life been felt
Yeah.
heard in that way. So it's really special. So when they come to you and there's, oh my God, I'm excited about so much stuff. Like how on earth do I get somebody else to understand this? What do you do for them then?
Well, so could we talk about that video for just a second? Because
Please.
I made it for me. I made it because I kept seeing these aspects of myself and my own brain. And I like to think of it like, what does your brain notice? How is your brain wired? What does it pick up on? And you and I had this incredible conversation, and we both teared up because what happens is you feel like you actually see yourself for how you are and who you are and what's right instead of what's wrong. So
Mm.
that's the difference. And when you have a mind that absorbs all sorts of different things all the time, continuously, and continuously sees a number of different perspectives and possibilities, it feels normal to us, but it feels strange to try to describe that to anybody else. And so we end up, and just to give your listeners a kind of a toehold, I called it a polymind. It's like it's a many things all at once. We end up kind of like squeezing ourselves into a box, which doesn't work, especially if you're an out of the box person, right?
Yeah, totally.
So once we sort of get that baseline of like, okay, I'm actually normal. Well, normal.
Do we want to be?
Yeah, okay. But now I actually know how to talk about it. And there's a structure and the way that I want to talk about what I do. So I don't have to kind of fall back on my old blurt or shut down, or I'll just try to find something that you can understand and hope that you might get it. And then, oh, by the way, could you hire me? So that's the kind of thing that people come to me for.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And that's the thing. It's that it makes such a difference when you can talk about what you do without having to leave anything out. You know, so it's not just you don't
Yeah.
have to just pick one thing.
And not only that, Anka, it's not having to prove like no, it's really, it matters, it's really valuable. Like you can stop pushing, and so the net result is, and I should ask you, but for me at least and for my clients, it's like you can relax and not talk,
Mm.
not be but you can listen more.
Yes.
And the listening is, for me, it's the magic, because when I can hear my customers tell me what's going on for them, I can really tune into them and I can hear their words in a different way. And that lets me give it back to them so their clients can hear them. Everything calms down and it's peaceful. You don't have
Mm.
to try so hard. You get to just be. I like to tell people you get to say less and mean more, and kind of, from a positioning standpoint, like talking about old marketing talk, I feel like you can be more of a lighthouse and less of a horn. Listen to me. It's like you can just be a lighthouse and have
Yeah,
people come to you.
yeah, that's beautiful. So now, how do TED Talks fit into all of that?
Well, it's a funny thing because for, 5 or 6 years, I've been working with the TED organization here in Reno, helping put on these events, helping coach speakers, but they lived in a very different place in my mind. I didn't know how they would be connected. And TED has a super strong ethos about volunteers. Like nothing's paid. Speakers aren't paid, volunteers aren't paid. So it didn't feel like, well, how could I ever bring this into my life? They felt like they lived in a different room of the house. And it was my son actually who said, Mom, hello, everything you do is about ideas. And it's like, oh, right. So thanks to my kid. But the big thing about TED, of course, is what it's all about, which is ideas worth sharing, ideas worth spreading. So you have to start with a big idea. And most people don't know what that is. They're all up in their head with a kind of a spin cycle of, I could talk about so many different things. That's most people come to me like, I definitely want to do TED, but what would I talk about? And then off they go. We might know something about that, right?
Totally, totally.
So I created a course and I call it the Big Idea Accelerator to help you figure out what it is you talk about on a TED stage or anywhere else. Because it's not really just about TED. That's what gets people in the door, because so many of us like, I want to do a TED Talk.
Yeah.
I want to do a TED Talk. It's like on the bucket list. Because TED's the ultimate stage for bringing out a big idea. And if you're just an idea junkie like me, TED makes sense.
An ideas junkie. Can I steal that? Because that's a label that I would totally identify with.
I mean, we are. And the thing that you and I figured out, a year ago, and I've been really running with, is when you're an idea junkie, what leads you on more than anything, it's not knowing stuff. It's not having information that you can then trot out and bring out to anybody else. It's just literally being led by curiosity. Like, oh, now what? And to a lot of people, that looks like I can't figure out what I'm doing, or like the squirrel thing. But it's not. It's actually tapping into the biggest drive for me is curiosity. And then I follow that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I call it the pull of inspiration. Like if I feel kind of drawn to something.
Is that really what you call it? The pull of inspiration.
Yes.
100%. That's going to make my eyes water, because that's all it takes. It's like what inspires us. And really, about in the messaging thing, people come to me, please just tell me what to say. But it's not about that at all. It's not about finding the right words. It's finding what moves you and then what moves your people, and then hooking that up. So if you've got that pull of inspiration and you're listening and tapping in to what moves you and moves other people, I feel like you're there, right?
Absolutely. And I remember when this phrase popped into my mind, because it was really contrasting against like being pushed by fear versus following the pull of inspiration, right? So how do you rather live?
Pushed by fear.
I've got a question. When people, I'm like, it's totally me. It's like, oh, TED Talk on a bucket list, right? Yeah. And so when people like, but what would I, like, that's literally, I would have said that, right? So, but what would I talk about? Because there seems to be, there's two angles of the issue. Either you have too many ideas and don't know how to distill it down, or you think, I don't really have anything kind of important enough to say.
Yeah, that falls into the, well, who am I, right? Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Both of those things, I feel like, are related to the same thing, which is not knowing where your highest value is. I think of them as a fulcrum point, a leverage point, like what actually matters. And it actually requires settling into yourself, settling into your thinking, not so much like racing through the grocery store trying to pick up as many things as possible, like get it all done and say as many things, like blah, blah. Like that doesn't settle anybody. It's to sift into what matters most and then create a structure that delivers it to people. Can I tell you a weird secret though, Anka?
Oh, I love to hear the weird secret.
Well, the irony is when I first started thinking about developing this course, I really wanted to dissuade people from just signing up for TED. Like I wanted them to decide no to TED. And I feel sort of guilty saying that, but not really. Because they're like, I want to do a TED Talk. But it's hard. It takes a lot of focus and time and concentration. So I want to make sure that people know what they're getting into before they make that decision. And if they make that decision, I want to give them the best, most solid idea they can so they get accepted.
Awesome. So basically, anybody who's listening, if you have a TED Talk on your bucket list, this is for you. So where can people, raise their hand? Where can people find out more? What have you got?
Well, to find out more, I would invite you to come to my website, which is mindsparkbranding.com. And we'll drop a link in there for you. And you can just sign up for the TEDx Idea Checklist. And it's basically a kind of a 5-pronged checklist that looks at your idea through the eyes of a TED organizer. So I know what kinds of talks gets denied from TEDx. I've been on that speaker selection committee. I've coached speakers for years. I know what doesn't make it. And then you will too. And then you can immediately get rid of some of the zzz in your head and say, okay, well, that's not going to be it. What about this? So you'll start right away knowing what will and won't work. And then if you want to take it further, you can sign up for the Big Idea Accelerator, which is a 4-week course to take you through the process of sifting and sorting and discerning, and then creating a structure that brings your idea not just from your head into the audience, but in their minds from the beginning all the way to the action you want to take them at the end.
Awesome. Well, I hope there's going to be loads of people joining us because I'm in. So I can't wait for this to start. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on and kind of getting us all excited about being curious and follow inspiration and get our asses on that TED.
Thank you, Anka. It's always fun to talk to you.
Awesome. I'll see you soon.
All right.